The president has obviously had the responsibility to lead Africa as a continent in this G20. Can you give me your assertion as business as to how did the president and the presidency handle this important year?
Firstly, thanks very much for having me. I think this G20 and all the viewers will recognize by now that the theme for this particular G20 is solidarity, equity and sustainability. And I think South Africa has gone out of its way, as it rightfully should, to make this a G20, the first one on African soil, very much about the African continent. There's been a number of priority issues for the continent that South Africa has put at the forefront, front and center, such as the cost of debt for the continent, debt restructuring. There's been a lot of discussion around how do you attract investment into the continent. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is an area that is not well known to the rest of the world, and I think South Africa has been very deliberate about putting these issues at the forefront. At the end of the day, what do we really want to get out of the G20 as South Africa? I think two things. Number one, it was important for investor confidence, particularly foreign direct investors, but also domestic investors, that we execute well and seamlessly on this, put our best foot forward. And by all accounts, so far we've been in this for 11 and a half months, and I think we've done well in terms of putting our best foot forward. Of course, this weekend is the pivotal weekend, and I think we're expecting a resounding success on that front. The second thing we wanted to do is position our country for investment, trade, commerce and business. And I think, again, the topics that we've selected have been critical to that conversation. But for me, the test is going to be, what do we do after the 24th of November? How do we move ahead with the positive sentiment that no doubt has been created off the back of things like being removed from the grey list, the ratings upgrade by Standard & Poor? These are all critical elements we need to keep building on.
And so the local political space has been a bit cloudy. We've seen stuff at the Madlanga Commission. There's also some chatter around ANC succession. Does that matter at all?
Look, markets want certainty and predictability, and certainly if there are concerns around safety and security in any country, as is coming out of the Commission, you can look at this one of two ways. Either you can look at it positively and say, look, there's a transparent process now. A lot of these things are coming to the forefront, and many key policy leaders and key business people in this country have come out and said, look, corruption is at endemic levels. The President himself has said that. Many cabinet members have said that. So that's the positive slant I take on them. The downside of all of this is, if we don't act on these commissions, as we have seen with the Zondo Commission, then it becomes a negative. So I think the jury's out where we are with the Madlanga Commission, first and foremost. I hope we will take the route of following through and executing on things. Of course, any presidential succession debate is critical for any country, and observers and analysts and commentators are looking at that. And again, what we seek as business is, we seek succession that is well organized, that follows a process that is transparent and open, so that we continue to give the world confidence that our governance is where it should be for investors to come and invest in our country.
So any premature or sudden leadership moves, how would business react to that?
Look, I think business wants, as I said, governance at the forefront of everything. We want to see a reduction, a mitigation of corruption. These are the elements that are important. You know, capital is agnostic. Capital doesn't follow sentiment. Capital follows where there's certainty, predictability, and returns. And I think any succession discussion is critical around that. We don't get a sense that our president is going anywhere at the moment. So I think that in itself is a positive. As you know, business has worked very closely with and alongside the president on what we call the four disenablers: energy security, logistics, supply chain, crime, safety, security and corruption, and now the fourth one, which is youth unemployment. So we wish to continue working with him and his team into the future.